For centuries, women have gazed back at us from canvas, calm, composed, and carefully beautiful. But look closer, and you'll see they were never looking at us at all. What we see isn't them. It's a reflection of how men wanted them to be seen. This isn't just art. It's a story of power, perception, and the silent force behind the frame. This is the male gaze, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. In classical paintings, women are everywhere, nude, clothed, posing, passive. But have you ever wondered, who are they looking at? And more importantly, who are we looking through? Art is not neutral. Every stroke of the brush carries a choice: what to show, what to hide, and whose eyes will guide the story. This invisible force is what scholars call the male gaze. Coined by British film theorist Laura Mulvey in 1975, the term describes how women are often portrayed, not as people with thoughts, power, or agency, but as objects crafted for male pleasure. It's why, in painting after painting, women are shown reclining, eyes meeting yours, bodies exposed, inviting expressions. They're not active characters. They're there to be seen. But that's only half the story. The male gaze doesn't just shape how women are painted. It shapes how we learn to see women, and even how women learn to see themselves. The echo of those ancient brushstrokes still lives in our screens, repeating a message that began long before cameras existed. In a nutshell, the male gaze is the way women are represented from a heterosexual male's point of view. Not how women see themselves, but how they are meant to be seen by men. The male gaze can sound abstract, like an idea stuck in theory, but it's everywhere once you know where to look. Let's start with the canvas. Let's start with how women were painted. In 1538, Titian unveiled a painting that would define how women were painted for centuries, the Venus of Urbino. At first glance, she is serene, confident, comfortable. She lies on white sheets, her gaze locked with yours. She is naked, yes, but not vulnerable. She knows you're watching, and that's exactly the point. But this isn't just a goddess of love reclining in peace. This is a constructed moment. Her hand placed carefully over herself, suggestive but modest. Her pose echoed again and again in future nudes. Her gaze direct, as if inviting or performing. Titian did it first. Then Manet copied the pose. Ingres stretched it. Cabanel softened it. Bouguereau repeated it. Same body position. Different artists. Same message. She is not shown for who she is. She is shown for how she appears. Not a woman living her own story, but a woman arranged to fulfill a role. To be looked at, desired, and admired, and never questioned. Then came a rebellion, the Manet's Olympia. but not with submission, with confrontation. The same posture as Venus, but everything changes. Her gaze is no longer for your pleasure. 25 years after the Venus of Urbino, another woman lies on a bed. Her name is Olympia, but this time something has changed. She's naked, reclining, just like Venus. But look at her. She's not soft, not smiling, not inviting. Her gaze is sharp, unapologetic, not seductive, but challenging. Olympia covers herself, but not out of shame. She does it on her terms. She's not a goddess, she's a woman, a real one, and she knows she's being watched. The bouquet? A gift, but she's not impressed. The black cat, a symbol of defiance and danger. Manet didn't paint her to please. He painted her to confront. And when this painting was revealed, people were furious. Because Olympia didn't obey the rules of beauty, she stared back. And in that stare, the male gaze begins to crack. When Edouard Manet's Olympia was first exhibited at the Paris Salon in 1865, it caused a scandal. Not because she was nude, because nudes were common in art, but how she was nude. She was clearly a sex worker, not a mythical goddess. Her nudity was not mythologized, which was the tradition in art. Manet made the Olympia as a reference to Titian's Venus of Urbino, but Olympia had none of the softness or submissive eroticism. By copying a Renaissance painting, Manet challenged the foundations of the art establishment. And this flat and unpolished painting style broke academic traditions. Critics called it vulgar, immoral, and ugly. One critic asserted as, "This Olympia is insultingly compared to a female gorilla, looking bizarre and unnatural, lying naked like a wild animal." Other said that, "An ugly, naked woman with a dull face and a disgraceful body." We have already seen the reclining female figure, once in Titian's world of softness, then in Manet's more confrontational version. Both were painted for the viewer's eye, but Ingres took that idea to the extreme. This time, the body is not just displayed, it is reshaped to fit a fantasy. She lies on silk, turned away but not hiding. Her back arches unnaturally and impossibly. At first glance, it seems sensual, soft, exotic. But look closer. Her spine stretches longer than it should. Her hip is dislocated. Her body isn't real. This is not anatomy. This is fantasy. Ingres didn't paint a woman. He painted an idea of desire. A woman made to fit a vision of his own. The Odalisque is silent. She doesn't speak. She doesn't resist. She is stretched and shaped for your eye. For male pleasure. Now, let's step into another room, another painting, another mystery. You might remember the Arnolfini portrait we discussed in previous video. In Jan van Eyck's Arnolfini portrait, a man stands proud, hand raised, as if swearing ownership. Beside him, the demure, obedient, pregnant-looking woman. She doesn't look at us. She doesn't look at him. She exists to be there, to be seen there. Every detail reinforces his status, his wealth, his power, his presence. But hers, her role is quiet, decorative and symbolic. Even the mirror behind them reflects witnesses to his authority. This is not just a marriage scene, it's a contract. And the woman in the frame is part of the transaction. The male gaze isn't always about nudity. Sometimes it's about control. But eventually, this tradition started to change. Women began to take control of the brush and the narrative. Frida Kahlo was one of the first to completely reject this idea of being painted for someone else. She didn't create perfect images of herself. She painted what she actually felt: her physical pain, emotional trauma, and her identity. Her self-portraits are honest, intense, and deeply personal. She once said, "I paint myself because I am so often alone." She wasn't trying to please anyone. She was telling her truth. And that made people see her as a real person, not just an object. By painting her body, her face, and her suffering, she made inner trauma visible, which was groundbreaking for that time. Then came Cindy Sherman. She didn't try to look beautiful. She made herself disturbing. In her photographs, she transformed into grotesque characters like clowns with smeared makeup, aging women with frozen smiles, figures that felt strange, broken, or even monstrous. These were not self-portraits for attention. She exaggerated stereotypes, twisted beauty into discomfort, and forced the viewer to look at what they usually turn away from. If this made you see paintings differently, subscribe for more secrets buried in art. Because art doesn't just show us the world, it shows us who we are allowed to be.